Britain in the days of King Arthur. Early winter at the inn. It was but one of the few full moons missed by Perceval's keen eye, but he dreamt from it, as did many others that night when the moon's tides tossed them about on swells of resurrected memories from forgotten seas. Guinevere woke up suddenly with a start and turned to Perceval, who was awake as well. Even before they were fully alert, they realized that something had changed. They couldn't quite name it, but something had awakened them. It was very quiet outside, and this early morning's quiet was somehow different, for noises were muffled. The daylight coming in the window was brighter, barer than yesterday's. Then they realized that the season's first big snow had fallen during the night. The air, the trees, and the inn were hushed in the snow. So now it was winter. Their memories swelled for a while.
To the changes in the weather, in the seasons, they thought, we are sensitive despite our civilized attempts to remove ourselves from its raw influence. We never truly sleep. We are animals yet, a little bit. The first snowfall you won't hear or often see, but its advent will bring you from the deepest sleep. December's foggy freeze descended upon the inn, and the cold air seemed to crinkle about the body at every step. Guinevere had seen many such winters, some from cold and lonely towers, but winter's embrace always seemed to surprise her, as it does all of us. How soon we forget.
This day, many a gravedigger cursed his task as he shoveled at the snowy, hardened ground in an attempt to bury the non-Christian Vikings killed the night before. The clanking could be heard throughout the day, and the bodies were as stiff as the ground that yawned to receive them. The old man took the floor this night and stated that he wished to freshen the forgetful atmosphere with the enchanting lure of an old story, a story for Ghislaine of how Prince Valor learned humility and why he felt for the world as he did, from the chronicles of Foster of Thule.
Val walked right along the daring threshold of adventure and sometimes overstepped his own pride. This was not unusual for the adventurous and may have been a natural consequence. The alternative of a cautious life, of course, was worse, some say. This then is a story of such pride. I'll tell the tale in such a way that you will feel that you were there, by using an apparition or two to enhance the effect. Valor was given a quest one day by an enchantress. It was, to wit, to obtain a golden casket containing a beautiful face, a face of a young woman who was now old, a face that had been ripped away by a wizard when she mocked one who was not so smart. Val was to be shown an example of supreme humility and be refreshed in his caring for those of the world who suffered under the cruel world's idiocy. But I get much ahead of myself. To the wild boy's funeral came the wayfarer, feared and friendless, for she can speak only the truth.
You, Arthur, with your crude diplomacy by marriage, you, Valor, with your clever stratagem that cost the boy his life. It was your pride that brought this death to pass, though, too. Your pride has often done well for Camelot.
A hush seized the burial chamber as the wayfarer raised her gnarled hands.
Fate, take your vengeance!
Now an exhausted messenger parts the throng at Arthur's feet.
Sire, a sudden gale caught the North Fleet out of harbor and swept it to sea. For a day we have searched but can find no trace of it.
Then a second messenger follows.
My lord, a great famine has struck the Goths. Like locusts they swarm to the west, devouring all in their path.
A third man is carried in, too ill to stand.
Plague in Londinium.
The wayfarer's wrinkled features align into a smile.
How feeble your powers seem now.
Where will I find the old man, Val wonders.
As he enters the river forest, he sees that many unfortunates have come before him, their troubled souls soothed forever by the river's chill embrace. This was the place called Springland. At the entrance to this otherworld kingdom, imps lowered him down to my clutches, for I was there, where I took over the tour. We descended a sandalwood trail past the steaming volcanic vents and arrived at a subterranean version of Camelot's muck and mire, where the earth therein quivered like a fat man's belly. And if you fell in, you would not be spit up for 3 days.
In this forest lie all of man's joys, follies, and sorrows.
The old man, me, smiled sadly. The hermit fumbles with his keys at a rock door, and suddenly Val stands at the edge of a vast reservoir. A salty drizzle coats his face.
Here is where all of mankind's tears gather after they are shed. Every day I pray for drought, but it never comes. Every day the salt line of the nearby river moves further into fresh water. Soon we shall all die of thirst.
Down the trail they go, and they soon come to another cave where the sound of angry words assaults Val's ears. Liar, cheater, fool, traitor, Val hears.
Everything people wish they had never said comes here. Eventually the words turn to dust and are swept away by imps. And over there, see the dragon's misty breath. That is where everyone's regrets for adventure's mist turns to mist. They hang heavy in the air and are so very hard to clear away.
Next, they enter a cavernous amphitheater where hundreds of scribes are busily at work.
Day and night they write down the good intentions of everyone in the world.
Val notices one sleeping scribe who seems to have no work and queries the old man about him. The old man sighs. His job is to record the good intentions that people actually fulfill. As you can see, he has not much to do.
Now I'll give you what you've come for. The wayfarer sent you here because you are too proud. Your pride has brought relief to some, but grief to others. Now I will show you humility. Follow me.
The old man rummages through an old chest, muttering to himself.
Charity, courage, loyalty, here it is. Bring this golden container to the wayfarer and your quest is ended.
Prince Valor is confused and begins to protest.
Do as I say. It is time you learned. I was not always as you see me now. Once I was the most beautiful woman of the empire. What a vain creature I was. Kings pledged whole provinces as a dowry, but I always refused. And then one day the fairy tale ended. A certain dim-witted lad loved me more than all the rest. One day I found him by a stream. I am waiting for the water to flow by so I can cross, he said. I mocked him savagely. Suddenly an old wizard slunk out of the forest, and with a wave of his hand he stripped me of my beauty and locked it in this golden casket. Ever since I have been wretched as you see me now. But now you have brought my beauty back.
For a moment she gazes fondly at the casket, then casts it boldly into the river.
That is humility, Sir Valor. Learn it.
All the residents of the inn were returned, shivering, to the inn. The old man added but one postscript.
Years later, I met Val under the worst of circumstances. We were both slaves, lashed to the oars of a slave ship. I was growing weaker by the day. Prince Valor did not recognize me. He bid me to lie down on our common oar and sleep with my arms on the oar. And for 3 days, Val rowed alone.